We're here to talk about a tyrant. We're here today to talk about a dictator. A dictator that has been allowed to rule for 40 years. This dictator is Muammar al-Qaddafi. Today we're going to talk about Qaddafi, and we're going to talk about the things that he's done. His has been a reign of terror and control, and that is what we will talk about today in this presentation. Libya has been under siege now, under his power, under his rule of thumb, for 40 years. This year he celebrated his 40th anniversary. Notice I said he. The Libyan people were not celebrating. They were forced into celebration, just like they were forced into his occupation. Now, if you know anything about dictators, they never just call themselves a dictator. They start off originally with good intentions. He didn't feel that King Idris was running Libya according to Islamic law. Qaddafi said a lot of things that we now know are not true. He has not run the country according to Islam. No. Qaddafi has run Libya according to Qaddafi and his green book. The book that every Libyan citizen must learn and memorize. Not the Quran. No, not the Quran. No. The green book. The book that thus saith Muammar al-Qaddafi. Reform, liberation, justice. Wonderful words. Wonderful words. The truth is, though he holds no real title, Muammar Qaddafi and his family run the country. Libya has the highest oil reserves on the continent, only second to Nigeria, selling what is called sweet oil because it's cheaper to refine. We cannot allow that capitalist greed to cloud our judgment. He is guilty of crimes against humanity. Do the Libyan people see this wealth? No. But Qaddafi does, and his children. He bought his son onto a soccer team, and then his son didn't even play. In the Sudan, Qaddafi again has been sponsoring terrorists to this very moment. Terrorism, displacing millions of families. The largest displacement in the world is happening right now in Africa. Millions of families have had to flee their home in the Sudan, in Uganda, fleeing for their lives because of the murder and the genocide that is going on in their country and Qaddafi. And yet, he has appointed himself the king of kings in Africa. He wants to be the African president. He wants to unite Africa into one country so that he can be its ruler. Islam is not about murder. There are people who murder in the name of Islam. Joseph Kony, known for kidnapping children from their homes, to date between 30 and 60,000 children, African children, have been kidnapped from their families. Their families have been tortured and murdered and scattered across the continent. These children have been beaten, brutalized, raped, and forced to fight in this man, Joseph Kony's army. And Qaddafi sponsors this. Now, why am I bringing these things up if he said he had nothing to do with it? It's simple. Because years later, he admitted to the Lockerbie bombing. He admitted to the discotheque bombing in Germany at Labelle's. He admitted to the Yvonne Fletcher murder. And he admitted to sponsoring the Flight 772, that bombing as well. He had the military at his disposal. Freedom, he said. I want the Libyan people to have freedom. But what happens, and it's very simple, he became a dictator. Because all that power and control in the hands of one man with no checks and no balances, that's not good. He said, I want to support the women in my country. We must ask ourselves, how much are the Libyan people expected to endure? He did not consult the imams in Libya when he changed the Islamic Feast of Sacrifice from November 27th, when it's supposed to be celebrated, the day that is celebrated throughout all Islamic countries and territories. When he changed it from that day to November 26th, which was not according to Islam, he did not consult anyone but himself. Why did he do it? Because Muammar al-Qaddafi wanted to make an Islamic sacrifice, an Islamic holiday coincide with Thanksgiving. He wanted to buy friends. He's trying to buy associations. He's trying to assimilate so that he can create his dynasty, his legacy. The families who suffered because of the Lockerbie bombing, the families who suffered because of the bombings at the LaBelle Disco, the families who suffered because of the bombing of Flight 772, UTA, Yvonne Fletcher's family, the 30,000 children, the 30 to 60,000 children in Central Africa stolen from the Sudan, forced to be a child army, to fight and bring havoc and tyranny and fear. The women, the children, the girls who were raped and murdered because of Libyan-sponsored terrorism in the Sudan and Uganda. These people deserve justice. Their blood cries for justice. Their families cry for justice. We cannot bring Noriega to justice. We cannot bring Saddam Hussein to justice and leave Muammar al-Qaddafi. The Libyan people cannot take another 40 years of tyranny. Why should the Libyan people be asked to take another 40 years? It is time.